Hello, my name is Jasmine Hall. I currently teach third grade math and science at Slater Elementary in Atlanta, Georgia. I received my bachelor's degree in elementary education at Tuskegee University, my master's degree in mathematics education at the University of Georgia, and now I am working towards my specialist degree at Kennesaw State University in instructional technology. My future goals are to become a technology instructional coach at a school or for a district. The title of my capstone project was The Appropriate Use of Technology in the Classroom. The problem stemmed from teachers not being proficient in technology usage, not being prepared on how to effectively implement technology into their classroom to enhance their lessons. After speaking with several teachers, many of them stated they used the available devices for incentives or rewards for positive behavior or for skill and drill practice. Not many teachers were using technology to enhance their lessons. After my conversation with teachers and through my own research, I realized that teachers weren't resistant to the implementation of technology because they didn't want to implement it, but because there was no support or professional development around the usage of technology in the classroom. So, after realizing the problem and the need at my school, the question came, will the implementation of technology professional developments and common learning spaces create more technology proficient teachers? Because I wanted to provide teachers with professional development and a common learning space for us to work and learn how to implement technology appropriately, I wanted to choose something that I knew was accessible to all teachers, and that was Google Classroom. I chose grades 3 through 5 because all students in those grades are one to one with technology. They each have their own Chromebook. So, my overall objective became me being able to provide professional development and ongoing support to classroom teachers with the implementation of Google Classroom. I put several strategies in place to ensure my capstone project ran effectively. So, first, I started with the needs assessment. I did this to get a picture of what teachers felt like they needed most from me when it came to Google Classroom. Next, I wanted to provide participants with professional development based around their needs and abilities that they identified in that needs assessment. And then I had an initial setup meeting with each participant, just going through Google Classroom and setting it up for their students. I also plan to provide participants with ongoing workshops just to ensure I was meeting their personal needs and goals that they set out in our previous conversations, as well as ensuring they were staying current and continuing the use of Google Classroom. Lastly, I wanted to create a drive where participants could have access throughout the project to how to videos, step by step instructions, and materials that we used in our workshops and PDs, as well as for teachers to be able to share their resources that they were using. The final phase for the plan for implementation was the evaluation piece. I wanted to evaluate participants through one on one conversations. This would allow me to answer any questions they were having that was specific to their own classroom and their own learning needs. I also wanted to evaluate the success of the project through real time observation. This would allow me to see how the teachers were using Google Classroom, if it was effective, and how the students were able to work with Google Classroom as well. Weekly logs were also another form of evaluation I wanted to implement in my plan. I wanted teachers to journal and log each week what worked well, what didn't work well, and how they were using Google Classroom and implementing it into their daily lessons. The last form of evaluation I included in my plan were through the surveys. These surveys would be just like the pre assessment surveys that the participants took, but this would show me the growth participants had throughout the program and the knowledge that they gained. The overall timeline of my project spanned over 4 months. I started in August when we returned to school with the needs assessment. This gave me an idea of what teachers needed in terms of technology. And then they took the Google survey, which allowed me to see what teachers already knew about Google Classroom. After receiving and reviewing my data for my needs assessment and Google Classroom survey, I took the rest of the month of August to prepare for my professional development, and I also implemented my initial professional development with all participants. In early September, I began to prepare for my one-on-one workshops with the teachers, as well as preparing the Google logs that teachers would use each week and the common place for us to house our documents. I also created those how-to sheets and videos. The month of September was also used for those initial observations with the teachers and also holding the workshops. I held two workshops to ensure teachers' needs were being met once again, and we were working towards their individual goals. September and October were used for more observations and also for teachers to begin logging their Google Classroom usage. Participants also created assessments, discussion posts, and questions inside of Google Classroom for their students to begin working with. November was the final month of my capstone project. Teachers continued to log their use of Google Classroom as well as add resources to the shared Google Doc that was created. The post needs assessment and the post Google Classroom surveys were also completed by participants. During the month of November, I also reviewed the data and feedback from the post assessments and post surveys. I also reviewed the participants' weekly logs for details on their experience throughout the project. Overall, the project was a success. My pre evaluation surveys showed that 33% of the participants were using technology to enhance their lessons, and at the end, 100% of participants used technology to enhance their lessons on a daily basis. The weekly logs and post surveys also demonstrated the teachers' growth throughout the program. And because of the success of the project, my administrative team has asked that I provide more professional development surrounding the use of Google Classroom. The beginning of my project did not go as planned. Initially, I wanted to have my professional development in July during pre-planning, but because the schedule was so full, I was unable to meet with teachers until August. Another little road bump I experienced was losing one of my participants in the middle of the school year. She left our school to relocate to another job, and I had to find another teacher who was willing to participate. Luckily, I found one who kind of saw what we were doing and wanted to join in. The biggest learning moment for me throughout my capstone project was being able to identify a relevant need and be able to plan and facilitate how to spark that change in my school to address that need and that concern. If I could make any changes to my project, I would incorporate more student voice. I would have the students also take a pre assessment and post assessment survey just so I can assess their learning and their experience throughout the process. If I could offer any suggestions to a teacher wanting to implement a similar project, I would suggest knowing the needs and the interests of your audience and also knowing what resources and tools are readily available for your participants to use.